어쩌면 올해 최고의 SF 기대작, 전 세계가 기다려온 우주 블록버스터 프로젝트 헤일메리, 주연 라이언 고슬링과의 만남.
Fist my bum.
Fist my bum.
로키의 오디션 현장부터
I met an alien.
I am Rocky. I like.
두 감독, 원작 작가, 각본가에게 직접 들은 비하인드 썰까지. 준비되셨죠? 질문? 라플위클리 핫 앤 뉴 2회차 만에 초 특급 스페셜 게스트를 모실 수 있게 돼서 저희 지금 굉장히 분주하게 스튜디오를 정리하고 있습니다. 이분들 만날 준비 해보겠습니다. Hi Andy.
Hi.
My name is An현모가 and I'm from LIFEPLUS in Korea.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
That's all I know.
That's great. Just in case you might be wondering, this is the Korean copy of your book.
Oh,
Hope you like
nice.
the design.
Very nice. What does the title translate to?
Project Hail Mary.
Oh, literally. Okay, cool.
Yes. First of all, congratulations on the opening of the movie.
Thank you.
I know you were on the set a lot and you've been working closely with the cast and the crew, but how did you really like the final product? Were there any moments where you felt like, wow, this is exactly what I was envisioning in my mind? Or on the other hand, oh, this is an interesting way to put it together.
So I don't have a very visual imagination. So in my mind when I'm writing, things are just kind of, the characters are kind of blobs, the sets are blobs, the background. I don't really see things too visually in my mind. Mm-hmm. So wow. I'm lucky in that when something in mine gets adapted to screen, I don't have that cognitive dissonance. I don't have that disagreement between what I thought it would look like and what it does. That just becomes what is true. So I saw the Rocky puppet, and it's like, okay, that's what Rocky looks like. Now I know. Oh, Ryan in costume. So that's what Ryland looks like. Now I know. This is what the Bridge of the Hail Mary looks like. Now I know. It all becomes canon retroactively.
So when you were actually writing something, you have a blank in your head?
Yeah, it turns out that, different people have different levels of visual imagination. And some people picture things very, very clearly in their minds, and some people barely picture it at all. And I'm more toward this end. I don't have, I'm not completely zero visual imagination, but it's very blobby and very imprecise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ryan Gosling. Of course, we all know who he is and we've seen his previous work. But were there any surprising new elements of him that caught you by surprise because he was suddenly just Ryland Grace to you?
Well, one thing is, I'd never met him before. I'd never worked with him before. I'm amazed that, I learned by watching him work that actors do a lot more for a production than just read the lines. I thought it's easy to think that actors just their job is just read the line and put the correct emotion in with it, but they do so much more. They're part of the creative process. They ad-lib, they riff, they say, no, I don't think the character would say that. He would do something more like this. And so they're definitely part of the process, and Ryan was very much part of the process, and his input made everything better. And so it was amazing to see. Just watching Ryland work taught me that, it's a whole bunch of people are involved in the creative process, not just the screenwriter and the directors,
Oh, okay. Can you give me an example where Ryan improvised something? Like, for example, a banter, a joke, a pun?
I mean, a lot of the movie is like the screenplay said to do one thing and Ryan went a little bit off script, and that's the version that we used, and so he did that. But one good example is at one point when Rocky did you see the movie?
Of course,
okay,
I did.
Good.
I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. Rocky comes into the lab and he's rolling around. He's like, dirty, dirty, dirty. Why is it? And stuff like that. And Ryland just goes, okay, Rocky, my hand is up. My hand is up. Like he's doing his school teacher, like getting his students under control. My hand is up. That was all just Ryan. That was ad-libbed by Ryan.
Having said that, I remember you saying in one of your interviews that you could die for Rocky.
Well, I hear a lot of other people say that to me. I will die for Rocky.
And you've posted a whole canon of iridium biology on the internet. And so I cannot imagine what it must have been like when you met Rocky for the first time, the physical manifestation of our body.
Yeah, it was great. And the puppeteers are incredible. So he really comes off as real. I mean, it's really cool. It was not a tennis ball on a stick. It was a puppet, you know, that and James Ortiz, who does the voice of Rocky, he and Ryan would riff off of each other, and they'd ad lib and they'd have conversations, and Rocky could move appropriately, and it really made the creative process much better.
I was asking you, what was it like when you first heard him speak?
Amazing.
That was really awesome. James did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you so
thank you.
much for the genuine answers.
Thank you.
Thank.
Happy.
Bye. 시간 너무 빨리 끝났어요. 인터페이스를 잘 몰라가지고 시간이 다 됐다는 그 사인을 못 봐가지고 좀 너무 황급하게 인터뷰가 마무리된 게 너무 아쉬운데, 원래는 제가 그 작가님하고 하고 싶었던 이야기가, 작가님께서 한 4년 전쯤에 이 에리디언들의 생물학적 특징에 대해서 백과사전처럼 정리해서 올려놓으신 문서가 있어요. 로키 같은 친구들이 혈관계는 어떤지, 근육계는 어떤지 정말 상세하게 마치 실제 존재하는 생물인 것처럼 정리를 다 해두셨거든요. 그래서 막 이런 얘기도 다 하고 싶었는데, 지금 이제 다음 인터뷰를 해야 되는데 어떤 분하고 연결이 될지를 알려주질 않아서 미리 몰라요. 화면에 얼굴이 딱 뜨면 누군지 알고 그때부터 인터뷰를 시작해야 되는 거거든요. 어떤 분이 등장하실지 직접 보시죠.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Let's start off with the amazing casting of Ryan Gosling first. He's the sole survivor in the spacecraft, and he has to represent all of us human beings. So choosing the right protagonist must have been the most critical task for you. Tell us about the casting process.
Yeah, luckily we didn't have to choose him. Ryan approached us with the rights to the book and asked if we wanted to collaborate together. So the first task was the easiest one.
And we were very lucky
Wow.
because he is one of the great actors of our time, and he was perfect for Ryland Grace, not just because his name starts with an R and a G, but also
Yes.
because he can make you laugh, he can make you cry, he can make you feel excited or scared or nervous, and he can do all of that in the same scene in a way that feels really natural. He's a very thoughtful and creative partner that we had on the movie, and it's hard to imagine anyone else pulling off what Ryan did
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah, I cannot think of a better fit. And Rocky as well. Where did you find him? It was so astonishing.
We scoured
that I
the
could
planet
still-
for rock puppets.
Thanks for laughing along.
Yeah, and we did do auditions for puppeteers, and we had a chemistry read between James Ortiz and Ryan, in which James was so self-possessed and bossy that Ryan really responded to it, and he suddenly, was put on. He got surprised and really loved playing with James, and it really brought the relationship to life.
And then
Yes,
building
yes,
Rocky.
I could sense that.
Yeah, building Rocky, we started with our friend Neil Scanlon from the Creature Shop, who's done so many great alien creatures over the years, and really spent over a year designing and perfecting a creature that would feel like it had history, that was appealing, that was interesting from various different angles, and then having the puppeteering team led by James and then the animators bring him to life in a way that made you believe he was real.
Another important factor that I found truly brilliant was the use of diverse music, which took the original text to the next level. What are the key directions you had when you were communicating with Daniel Pemberton?
So we had Daniel Pemberton and our music supervisor Keir Lehman, who picked out the songs. And for both of them, we said we want the movie to sound like a mixtape from planet Earth. That it was every single person on the planet rooting for Ryan to succeed. So that's why in Daniel's score,
that's why you have a mixture of genres.
yes,
Exactly.
and we wanted to have lots and lots of voices, so that he was never alone in space, but that there was a whole choir of people cheering him on. And Daniel found a class young people to come into the studio and stomp and clap and to be the percussion. We brought all these musicians who play really unusual instruments because not only is Earth rooting for Ryan, but all of Rocky's home planet are rooting for him. So we also wanted sounds that you had never heard before.
And then we found songs from countries from around the world as ways of say we're all on your side, we're all cheering for you.
Yeah, your intentions were perfectly delivered.
Oh, great.
Lastly, Project Hail Mary is about the most unlikely friendship, actually an interplanetary one that ends up saving planets. And you two have also been working together for a long time as a duo. So how did your relationship as friends help shape the chemistry between the two characters?
Well, it's definitely something that we keep making films about people who are friends who work together to solve problems, because it's something that we do every day and can really relate to. And one thing that we found is that if you can treat somebody with respect and it's someone that you admire and that you listen to, and you try and see things from their point of view, then you can build on each other to make something better than what you would have done by yourself. And I think that's true of our relationship, and it's very much true of Sandra Hüller and Ryan Gosling's relationship, and Ryan and Rocky's relationship in the movie.
Just a few words to all the Korean fans out there who've been anticipating this movie for years.
We hope you love the movie. We're really excited for you to see it. If you read the book and loved it, I think you're going to love it. And if you haven't read the book, you're going to also love it.
And I would say that the tone of Korean cinema is a big inspiration for the tone of this movie, in that a movie can be really serious and it can also make you laugh.
Yes, so humorous at the same time. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
감독님들이 또 두 분이시니까 이게 5분마저 쪼개져야 돼서 너무 숨가쁘게 인터뷰를 했는데, 그래도 좋은 말씀을 너무 많이 해주셨어요. 일단 제가 로키 연기한 배우 어디서 찾았냐고 이렇게 약간 농담식으로 여쭤봤는데 빵 터지셔가지고 같이 웃어주셔서 너무 좋았고, 한국의 그 영화계가 심각하고 무거운 주제를 다루면서도 유머를 잃지 않는 그런 영화계 톤이 잘 맞는다고 말씀해 주셔가지고 감동적이었어요. 이거 이러다가 갑자기 화면에 라이언 고슬링 얼굴 나올까봐 너무 긴장되는데. First and foremost, I loved your adaptation of Project Hail Mary. What was it like for you in general to work on such an original, large-scale story, even compared to Martian, involving amnesia as well as alien language?
Yeah, I think when Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian and wrote Project Hail Mary, the books, asked me to do it, I was scared because I didn't want to repeat The Martian, And then I read the book and thought, oh, this is a much more difficult adaptation. It's much more ambitious. It's a much bigger scale. It's a much more complicated story because it's between a human and an alien on other sides of the galaxy. I was scared, but I also was thrilled because I thought the story was so emotionally moving. The book made me cry. And
yeah, my face was leaking at the end.
My face was leaking at the end too. That's right. And so I really wanted to capture that and do that justice because I loved the book so much. So it has been a joy to work on.
Could you share with us any particular scenes or moments that you had to struggle with the most when you were trying to put everything into a 2.5-hour movie?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the biggest challenge was most of this movie is about two characters. One is a human, one is a spider rock alien who doesn't speaks in whale songs, doesn't have a face, it's really hard to communicate. And so those scenes were challenging, but we realized that the challenge was the point, right? You had to see from the other's point of view for this to work. You had to find compassion and empathy for one another to save the universe. And I think that, even though it was difficult, that's what became the soul of the movie.
Also, for Rocky, there's only so much he can express himself through verbal language because he's not fluent in human language. How did you overcome such constraints and still make the dialogues shine?
Well, it's a credit to our directors, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who come from animation and know how to make something like this have real character. I think we realized there's so many different ways to express yourself without words, right? We can talk through our body movement. We can express emotions through our physicality. There's so many different tools that if you take these things away, you find new ways to do it. They made Rocky come to life. And it's one of the biggest miracles of this movie, that they did that. I watch the movie now and believe it's a real alien, and because I don't understand how they did it. It's just a remarkable task that they pulled off.
One thing I really want to emphasize is that you made a bold decision to create a hugely impressive scene where Sandra sings.
Yes.
I would argue it's one of the highlights, the jewel in the crown. Where did the idea begin, and what was the purpose of adding the scene?
So, I can't take credit for the singing because that was Sandra's idea to sing. So, we knew we had a scene of the bar scene. It's great. But I'm so glad you asked about it because it is my favorite scene in the movie. We sort of needed a scene to see everybody come together before, we call it the calm before the storm, before things go bad. You wanted to see the crew together. Phil and Chris wanted them to be singing karaoke, so that was sort of happening in the background. Ryan Gosling heard Sandra singing on set just to herself and said, "You have a beautiful voice. We need to sing. You need to put you in this movie singing." And she said, no. And then we kept asking, and she said, finally, "Okay, I'll do it, but I need to do that song." She picked the song. And now when I watch, and when I watch the movie, I go, I don't know how, it's the perfect song. I don't know how we could have done this without her. Thank God for Sandra Hüller. I mean, without question, it's the best part of the movie.
Have you heard any reactions from Harry Styles?
I have not, but I hope he loves it as much as I do.
Yeah, the fans of Harry were obviously stoked about it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he loves it as much as I do.
Last of all, any lines or sequences that you feel most proud of?
Well, that's certainly one of them. I would say sequences. There's a scene towards the end between Sandra and Ryan, and I don't want to spoil the movie, but there's a scene at the end that flips the whole movie on its head. Like it's in the last third, and you find out how Ryland ended up on the spaceship. That is my other favorite scene of the movie because the two of them, the performances in that scene are so good. You're watching two actors at the top of their game. They're spectacular. And that one I'm particularly proud of how it turned out.
Amaze. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. This was a joy.
Wish you all the best of luck with this one.
I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the good job. Thank you so much. 제가 마지막에 막 눈물 났다고 하는 거를 일부러 로키식으로 얼굴에서 물이 샜다고 이렇게 이야기 드렸더니 막 이렇게 크게 웃어주셔서 보람 있는 인터뷰였습니다. 이제 좀 적응을 해가고 있어요.
Hi everyone in Korea. I'm so excited to bring you this film. I hope that you love it as much as we do, and thank you for this time to talk about it.
They're literally hailing the opening of Project Hail Mary, in which you are not only the main character but also one of the producers. Which part of the novel or which facet of the project pulled you in with the biggest gravity?
It's such an extraordinary story. It's just lightning in a bottle. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and film. You go to another galaxy, you make an alien best friend, and you save the stars.
True.
It's pretty extraordinary. But at the same time, I think it also is just a reminder of what we're capable of as human beings. And there's a sense of optimism and hope that's realistic. It's not just idealistic. It's a reminder of how great we are at and how we make the impossible possible all the time.
Were you able to see something of yourself in Ryland Grace from the first read? What are some of the aspects in the character that you could instantly identify with?
He's very afraid of what he's been asked to do, and I could relate to that. And he does...
Why did you feel that way?
I think it's a normal reaction. He's not a hero. He doesn't have any fantasy of being one, and yet he finds out that the fate of the universe is up to him. So that's a terrifying thought, and he's appropriately scared. And it was great to be able to play the humanity of that, the realism of that, and not to pretend to be like a movie hero where you're stoic and not afraid and one-liners and all of that stuff. He's just he's as scared as any of us would be.
But when people think of Ryan Gosling, they think of the famous gaze of your eyes. In fact, one of the most prestigious movie critics in Korea said, "You are an actor with the most romantic eyes," to which I strongly agree.
Wow.
But in this movie, you had to act with a puppet who did not have eyes.
He didn't have eyes.
That
That's
you can
true.
look into, yeah. So how did you exchange emotions and share feelings? Where did you put your focus on when interacting with Rocky?
You know, I think we made a choice to have Rocky be a practical puppet and not to be CGI. So he was there. I mean, he's here in the hotel right now. So he's real. And
a physical object.
And the puppeteer, James Ortiz, gave him life. He gave him a voice. He gave him a personality. He gave him mannerisms. I could improvise with him. We formed a genuine bond, myself and this puppeteer. So that's real, and there's a sort of.
I could feel it.
Yeah, I do. I think it's part of the magic of the movie.
When the ending credits start to scroll up, what kind of impression do you hope the audience to leave the theater with? I'm sure they will remain seated long after, just like I did.
I think this is one of those films, like a core memory movie that you have when you were a kid, when you saw Back to the Future or E.T., a film that you remember where you were when you saw it, who you were with, that it made you feel inspired and hopeful, and stays with you long after it's over.
True. I think that's about my time. Thanks so much for the interview. Fist my bump.
Fist my bump. Thank you.
Hope you can make it to Korea soon.
I really want to. Honestly,
we missed you in 2023.
I'm so disappointed that we're not coming, and I would love to come, and I hope that you love the film and that we get to come and talk about it.
Yeah, I will look forward to having this interview in person someday soon.
Great. Thank you so much.
아, 너무 아쉬워요. 라이언 고슬링님하고 제일 오래 눈을 맞추고 싶었는데 채팅창을 다루는 법을 몰라서 제가 좀 시선을 계속 어디다 둘지 모르고 좀 허둥댔거든요. 근데 그래도 그 몇 초 짧은 순간 동안 아니 고슬링님 눈빛이 너무 고슬고슬. 프로젝트 헤일메리 3월 18일에 공개되니까요. 극장에서 만나보기로 하고요. 그런데 여기서 끝이 아니죠. 알고리즘보다 정확한 이번 주 컨텐츠 픽, 라플위클리 핫앤뉴. 놓쳐서는 안 되는 이번 주 신작들 만나보시죠. 킬리언 머피가 돌아옵니다. 시즌 1부터 시즌 6까지 전 시즌이 흥행을 거둔 BBC 초특급 드라마 피키 블라인더스의 시퀄 영화가 3월 20일 넷플릭스에서 공개되는데요. 지금까지 공개된 드라마 시즌 6까지는 1차 세계대전 이후 혼란스러운 영국 버밍엄을 배경으로 우아하게 차려입고 가장 잔인하게 정점에 올라서는 갱스터 쉘비 가문의 연대기가 펼쳐졌다면 이번에 나오는 영화 피키 블라인더스 불멸의 남자는 그 이후의 스토리로 은둔 생활을 택했던 갱스터 토마스 쉘비가 나치의 음모에 휘말린 아들을 구하기 위해 버밍엄으로 돌아오면서 이어집니다. 킬리언 머피가 피도 눈물도 없는 토마스 쉘비로 복귀하고 여기에 레베카 퍼거슨, 팀 로스, 베리 키오건까지 정말 기대되는데요. 과연 드라마의 흥행 신화를 계속 이어갈 수 있을지 직접 확인하세요. 드디어 BTS가 컴백합니다. 3월 21일 저녁 8시 서울 광화문 광장에서 열리는 BTS 컴백 라이브 아리랑을 넷플릭스가 전 세계에 단독 생중계하는데요. 광화문 광장에서의 단독 공연도 최초, 국내 공연이 전 세계에 라이브 되는 것도 최초, 역시 최초의 기록을 써가는 BTS답죠. 전 세계 시청자들이 언어와 문화의 장벽 없이 BTS의 무대를 함께 즐기는 순간이 될 텐데요. 무료 공연인 광화문 라이브를 통해서 3년 9개월 만에 공개되는 5집 아리랑은
공연 하루 전날인 3월 20일에 발매됩니다. 이미 선 주문량만 400만 장을 돌파했다고 하니 BTS의 글로벌 팬덤 정말 어메이징하네요. 여기에 BTS 컴백의 비하인드 스토리를 담은 장편 다큐멘터리 BTS 더 리턴도 3월 27일 넷플릭스에서 공개되는데요. BTS 멤버들이 공백기를 지나 어떻게 시작하고 어디로 나아갈지 고민하면서 함께 음악을 만드는 과정을 밀착 취재했다죠. BTS 멤버들의 진솔하고 감동적인 이야기, 우리 놓치지 말아요. 주목해야 할 전시도 소개할게요. 가장 논쟁적인 현대미술의 거장 데미안 허스트의 개인전이 국립현대미술관에서 아시아 최초로 열립니다. 영국의 시각미술가인 데미안 허스트는 죽음이라는 주제를 파격적이고 충격적으로 다뤄왔는데요. 프로말데히드 속에 잠긴 상어라든가 화려한 다이아몬드로 덮인 해골을 통해서 죽음 앞에 인간은 결국 무력한 존재임을 보여줬죠. 하지만 이런 데미안 허스트의 작품은 수많은 논쟁도 불러일으켰는데요. 알맹이 없는 충격을 비싼 가격에 파는 쇼맨이라는 비판과 박물관에 갇혀있던 예술의 생명력을 불어넣은 혁신가라는 칭송이 공존하기 때문입니다. 3월 20일부터 6월 28일까지 약 3개월간 이어지는 데미안 허스트의 아시아 최초 대규모 개인전 라플위클리 핫앤뉴 4화에서 제가 직접 관람하고 또 쏙쏙 들어오는 해설까지 해드릴 테니까요. 기대해주세요. 여러분, 라플위클리에서 새로 시작한 저 안현모의 스피노프 콘텐츠 라플위클리 핫앤뉴 2화 어떠셨나요? 팀 프로젝트 헤일메리와의 인터뷰 끝까지 봐주신 분들께 희소식 엄청난 이벤트가 기다리고 있는데요. 댓글 남겨주신 분들 중 추첨을 통해 프로젝트 헤일메리 레고 세트와 영화 예매권을 선물로 드립니다. 좋은 댓글 많이 남겨주세요. 매주 영화 OTT뿐 아니라 공연, 전시까지 가장 핫한 콘텐츠 소식 추천해 드릴게요. 알고리즘보다 정확한 2주의 콘텐츠 픽 라플위클리 핫앤뉴는 다음 주 드라마 대한민국에서 건물주 되는 법의 임필성 감독님 그리고 빌런으로 흑화한 심은경 배우와 함께 찾아올게요. 다음 주 월요일에 다시 만나요. 안녕.